Morning all. A bit blurred, aren't they? Welcome to another Sunday Q&A. Got a busy day today. My house is currently being taken over by Child's latest interior design project. So that's we've got fabric and cardboard tubes and vans everywhere. And today I'm off to High Wycombe to pick up 2 filing cabinets because I'm allowed to drive the truck at weekends one day per weekend in 2. That's the Janet and John version. So rather than having to go over with her in the van, I said I'll go and fetch it with a tail lift. So we'll get the Q&A done nice and early, and then here we come, off we go. Like Usain Bolt, but 56 miles an hour. He can probably run quicker than 56 miles an hour in fairness. Right, straight into it. The Urban Trucker, he says, hello Nick, how you doing mate? He says, going a bit off topic here, but he says you say fork on, fork off a lot in your videos, and it got me thinking, where have I heard this before? And it came to me, you're Mr. Miyagi of the CX, but instead of wax on, wax off, it's fork on, fork on, fork off. That sounds rude. Fork on, fork off. For my next trick, I'll stand on one leg and then I'll fall over. And of course, the transport manager is called Daniel. Daniel's saying, the thing is, he knows more than me, so I can't really work that way round. But nice analogy, mate. Yeah, I'm getting old enough, certainly. Got the bins now. Right, so what do we do? I'm going to try and get it in one. We've hopefully got time. Did the trip to Edinburgh, finally got that edited and stuck up for you. Hope you enjoyed it, you know. So White Van Man says, he enjoyed the video. He says, I can remember when I was an owner driver in a van. I used to get jobs going to Glasgow and Edinburgh for customers. Once in Scotland, get the CX for a backload, could be waiting hours. It's not easy to get out of Scotland. You end up driving a long way to get your job and you end up trying to give them it cheap because there isn't a lot of choice. That's what I found anyway. He said, but I eventually got a job going to speak in Liverpool, which ain't so bad, because once you're in Liverpool, you've got a much better chance. Then get a job from Liverpool back to Nottingham. It didn't always go according to plan, but does happen, like, you know. There's many other routes the man has taken. Yeah, it says, cheers, Wayne. Wayne, thanks very much for your input, mate. Lovely, yeah. Scotland, not so easy to get out of, like Norfolk or Devon or Cornwall particularly, or, you know, the middle of Wales. Not so easy, but if you do get one, you can sometimes get a winner. It's kind of like, you know, you roll the dice and hope you get 6, don't you? As Nick says again, he says, on the subject of, like, you know, jobs and miles, he said, I saw you know, because Scotland, you will quote cheaper, like, you know. He said, I saw this week, long wheelbase job posted, 107 miles, pays 40 quid. When it says pays 40 quid, you think, no, it doesn't. You know, kind of thing. It's you might think it pays 40 quid, but no one in their right mind is going to do that for 40 quid. So you can just go back. It's not always the shipper's fault. Sometimes it's the customer's fault, and the customer says, look, we don't want this, you know, we really don't want to pay a lot for that. We really don't want to pay much more than 50 quid. And then what happens is, you know, 2 days later, they ring up and they said, have you managed to move that pallet? And they go, no. Not for that money. It's just you're going to sit there and look at it. You might want to pay. I want to pay £1. It's not. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. So, Van on the Run. He said he enjoyed it as well. Because I said about the idea. It's also like a little bit of a video diary and all that kind of thing. He says. And also editing. He says, I know how proper time-consuming editing can be. He does his videos on his phone. And as for the pallet scenario of having to take pallets away, I've got in the habit of saying that I'm a same-day courier and that I need to go to my next collection empty, so all packaging and pallets stay with the goods. It's worth explaining to people. They often think you're a company they ordered and they assume you're going back there anyway. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, that's reasonable. They just assume that, you know, it's like a dedicated vehicle both ways. He said, I've also ended lumbered up with a pallet on a few occasions. Pun intended, lumbered. Ha ha! Sometimes it's not so bad. If it's just pallets, and depending on the size, even with the Luton, if it's 2 or 3 pallets, I can stack them up against the bulkhead. It never really impacted me on the next job. And 9 times out of 10, within 2 drops, you'll go to somewhere where they've either got stacks of pallets, or you can say to them, mate, any chance taking these pallets? And they go, yeah, just stick them in the corner, like, you know, they'll use them. When it comes down to rubbish, it gets trickier and trickier. It gets easier with a truck because I have 10 pallet spaces at the front of the truck. And then at the back, I've got another 2 pallet spaces, but that's where the pump truck sits and the straps and stuff. I can do 12 pallets at a push. They go to the back doors and we have to put the pump truck on top. But normally any rubbish and pallets, if I can condense it, and I also got myself a few tools. I did buy that pruner, that works pruner, and I'm thinking of buying a circular saw with a battery. And I'm thinking that if worst case scenario, and when you book these jobs, you've got to charge them more money because there's going to be more work involved. But I can use the tools to sort of help me consolidate the mess. But I'll do a video if it happens. Domain name guy says, he said, again, we're taking away the pallets. He said, this happens a lot in central London, which is understandable. I've dropped before to fitters, and they're just outside a like this glass-fronted office block. There's nowhere to put the rubbish. Just literally, they've turned up in a van. They're probably at the park their van in the underground car park. There is nowhere to put the rubbish. He says, London requires removal of rubbish. He said, but it's usually late evening, and if the rubbish is wooden pallets, some people, you're living in vans, they call it van life, have wooden stoves and the narrow boats, and you could use them for that kind of thing. You can also get rid of pallets at pallet places. There's one there is one at Toddington. When you go for the truck wash, just before you put in the truck wash, there's a guy who'll take your pallets. They don't really give you a lot of money, but if your aim is just to get rid of them, I say, mate, I don't want your dough. We'll give you $2.50 a pallet. I've got 10 pallets. I say, mate, you keep the money. Just lose the pallets. Because otherwise you get that, don't know about that one. Oh, that's the wrong colour. Oh, that one's that's got a leg missing. Just take them, please take them. They're in my way. So that was Edinburgh. A couple of questions about circuit, because that came up again this week. Still doing a thing. And like I say, if you can, there are more videos of me on their channel. I'll do you a link to one of the videos. There's just more. It's not just about circuit. It's also general help for courier drivers. It's the same as this channel, really, but they're trying to grow their own. And if you do like it, please subscribe, because everyone loves a subscriber. Apple Issue says, I'm doing my first route tomorrow. I'm counting on Circuit to help me. Anyone have any trouble with it in the States? It's a good app. You shouldn't, honestly, I wouldn't plug it if it wasn't. You shouldn't have any grief. It's, as far as I'm concerned, the best monthly drop out there. You may think differently, but I've tried the others, and literally when I was making that video last week, because I don't use them that often, that's me genuinely, it's almost like going into it blind, and it's user friendly. I like it, but you do you. And Ryan Koeman says, does the app work if you've already typed in all the addresses, but when delivering you go out of cell service? I don't know, but I am going to ask them that question, and we'll get back to you on that one, Ryan. So yeah, I presume that you need to keep your service on all the time, because you're going to need your GPS, because without your GPS, it can't work out where you are. And if it can't work out where you are, it can't tell you when you've hit your destination and can't work out the next one. So I believe you're going to have to keep your self-service on, I'm afraid. We call that mobile here. Miscellaneous. Brad Manley says he's been watching for a while now. He says, appreciate the effort. Yes. He says, what is the best way to get your own van and earn an acceptable wage if you can't afford the CX? Brad, that is an excellent question. In fact, I saw it come in and I've preempted it. I've already done a video on that one, because I think that's really important, because there might be people that are watching this channel that go, I've got a van, I'd love to crack on as a courier driver, but this CX is a lot of dough. If I could just get started, get a few quid behind me, then maybe I think about it in the future. So I've done one. I'll try and launch it next week for you, mate. You kind of jump the queue with that one, because I think that is important for people. Michael Bradisky says, the O license is to do with this, is to do with getting his O license. He said, should the money in the business account or the private account? Michael, you need to put the money in whichever account. If you're applying for the O license under your name, then you want to keep it in your personal account, because your personal account has got your name on it. If you're applying for it under your business name, then you want it in the business account. They just need to tie the two up, because otherwise you could turn around and you could say, well, I'm applying for Bing Bong Transport, and here's some money in Michael Barisky's account. And you go, well, who's Michael Barisky? You're applying for Bing Bong Transport. The money needs to be with Bing Bong Transport, and vice versa. So you just make sure that the money is in the account that has the name on it that you're applying under, because that's a mistake I made, and it cost me a month or two, but I got there in the end. You never kind of don't get there, it just takes longer. I've got a problem at the moment. I'm trying to expand from 3 to 5 slots, and I've gone online to do it, and I click on it and a red thing comes in the box going, you need to tell how many vehicles you want. But so I sent her an email and it told me I need to change it in the box, and I'm going, I've already changed it in the box. I've got a red line around it. Please tell me what I'm doing wrong. So I'll get there. I might have to ring them. I've got a very early start on Monday. I've got another 2 o'clock on Monday. So I suggest to it, old Teddy. It's an easy enough job. It just means I'm up at, well, I've got to pick up at 3:15 in the morning. So I'll probably, because I'll run out of driver's hours, be back early on Monday. So I might be able to jump on the phone and do it. I want to jump on the phone when I'm in front of the computer, and obviously I can't do that in the van because I'll crash. I suppose you could pull over, couldn't you, really? Yeah, I'm not that organised. Michael Patrick, he says, Peter says, nothing to do with the videos. Well, that's linked to, doesn't forget that bit. Just wanted to know about delivering in Ireland. I wanted to know the ins and outs of COVID testing. Do you know if I have to take a test to deliver to Ireland? Or are we key workers okay to take jobs without them taking a test? Like I say, Patrick, I don't run out of the country, but my mate John, who's out there, does. So, John, if you're watching this, if you could, once again, I'm going to the wise guys here, the people that know better than me, if you could stick in the comments, because he runs Ireland all the time. He lives in Ireland. He brings stuff over here. I think he's actually doing medical, bringing stuff over to Manchester and then going down to London and all that kind of stuff. Mate, if you could inform our Michael Patrick, that would be brilliant. And we'll just, share the love. That would be great. But I can't help you, mate, because it's not my thing, sorry. Or if anyone else knows, obviously, if you can put it in the comments, help the man out, that would be great. We are on it. Says, right, this is one on T&Cs. Whose T&Cs take precedence? He said, I've had a couple of times where I put in my T&Cs, my waiting time is like, my cancellation fee is £25. Then your shipper says, our cancellation probably is £15. And when they say, they says in their thing, when you take the job, you accept our T&Cs. But then we put on ours, when you accept our driver, you accept our T&C, so you can write what you want. The truth of the matter is, at the end, it's just a tussle between the two of you, and you normally sort of have a little to and fro, and you normally meet somewhere in the middle. There is a video out there on this. I'll try and do a link if it's there, but that's the Janet and John version. Jason Burke, Uncle Jason, good to speak to you, mate. Uncle to the cats, they're around somewhere. He says, in a previous job, I used to, because I did Brands Hatch, didn't I? He said, I used to deliver to Silverstone on a regular basis, to the pits, the driver's lounge and various other parts of the circuit. I used to drive around part of the circuit to reach locations. Did you make the noises? Did you go around going, I didn't. I should have done. Dave the Chris doesn't believe me, he says I did. Beck Stasian says, I work with a company on an on and off basis, but they refused. This was to do with parking for drivers. When you have to park trucks for drivers, they refused to pay parking for drivers. Just this week, they had 2 fuel tanks broken into. Now, this is kind of a problem because just because you're parking at a motorway service station and you're paying 20, 30 quid to park for the night doesn't mean your fuel's necessarily safe. In fact, an argument can be made that if you want to hit an area, why are you going to hit a lay-by where there might be 1 or 2 trucks that might have some fuel in it? Why not go somewhere where there might be 40, 50? Then you can go around and take them all. The problem with this, of course, is if any of the truck drivers get wind of the fact you're nicking the fuel, 2 or 4, you could end up with 40 or 50 angry truck drivers looking at you going, what do you think you're doing? So I don't know if there's safety in numbers or what's better. We get hit sometimes up the yard, but not often. Maybe one truck each truck might get hit once a year. And they don't even seem to take the old tank for some reason. They seem to take a bit of it, so it's not ideal, but it is kind of an occupational hazard. And you can't even put a locking petrol cap on, because if you put a locking petrol cap on, all they do is they punch at the bottom of the tank and take it out that way, and then you've got to buy a whole new tank rather than just a bit more fuel. So you're better off leaving the tank. I mean, there is one, I think Godzilla's or someone ago, he said you can put red food dye in it. That way they'll take it out, but they can't move it because it looks like red diesel. And if you get dipped by the side of the roads, you go up, put food dye in it to stop them nicking my diesel. It's a bit of a palaver. It's just, to me, it's just one of them things that happens sometimes. You sort of go, like things happening in life, you go, ugh. Then you wipe your mouth and you walk away and you carry on, But yeah, I know what you're saying. Steve Campbell. This is also to do with parking at motorway services, because this was to do with the Edinburgh thing, really. He says, I've got a Snap account. So when you park in motorway services, truck parks or haulage yard, or it's an MSA motorway service area, so you basically use a Snap account to pay for it. If I was there more, I probably would get something. But to be honest with you, it happens so rarely. I'm normally leave in the morning and get back in the night time, particularly with everything that's going on in the house at the moment with the project over here. So I tend to aim to get home if I can. Sorry, that's coming. Amazon probably. But yeah, if I find myself staying out more, I look into it more. But at the moment, it's once in a blue moon. I don't worry so much. Ian Merrick is trying to help me out with the upload speeds. He says you might want to think about doing a podcast, keep the data and the editing time down. It's still interactive, even though it's audio. Listeners can send in emails and that kind of stuff. Also, this is quite interesting. He says there's a couple of podcasts out there you guys might want to check out. He says the Lodestar podcast has educated him about the Golden Triangle, which runs from Nottingham, Tamworth and Northampton. Why is it the Golden Triangle? Because just about every significant UK haulage destination is within 4 hours by road. Consequently, the amount of warehouse space being built around there is going through the roof because of the home shopping. But, mate, I see it. It's around me all the time, and they're building massive, massive units, and I just keep going... I'm thinking, there's another potential delivery. I had one the other day. I had to go and pick up. It was only a little job, comes up quite a lot actually, and it was Leighton Buzzard to Hemel Hempstead. Leighton Buzzard not far from me. Hemel's not far from me. Pulled in, brand new estate. You think, oh, lovely. Oh, very nice. Another potential customers. What I should do, if I had any brains, is when they start building these estates, is go around and either talk to the people as they move into the units or card them and go, need a driver. But, yeah, bear a very little brain here. I'll get round to it. Mr. Bruce says, as a comics, I said, I'm driving 24 hours. He says, I'm sure the DVSA are excited when you admitted driving a truck 24/7. How many cars have you got? Yeah, within legal limit. My car is squeaky clean. All of our cars are squeaky clean. I actually get I'm quite hot on it, if I get an infringement. You get one once in a blue moon. I think our infringement rate is something like 0.09%, which Daniel says is great. But I don't want any. Why would you have them? Sometimes it can't be helped, but then you get the no safe place to park. That's one I might do, actually, what to happen if you're going to get stuck running out of driver's house. But no, I'm a good boy. Hence the reason I'm going to pick these chests up today for child, but that means no running next weekend because you've got to have your break. So I said, I want to have a break. I'm tired. I'm getting old. Jamie Richardson says, about the Wi-Fi boxes. You can sign into your router and activate double signal strength. Jamie, I'm going to try and do that today if I get time. I'm going to do a little note there because I keep saying I'm going to do something about it and I don't. I'm getting there. But I will. I'll make a note. Mate, I'll let you know how it goes. Appreciate that. Thanks, mate. Cheers. The expensive travel lodge. Going through the roof, guys, getting dearer. Godzilla says, the travel lodge in Morecambe, a Saturday last year, he said, can't quite remember, but wearing a mask, 26 quid a night. Travel lodge in Morecambe, Saturday in July, a couple of weeks away, knocking on the door, 70 quid. This is another reason when I said that I don't spend that much about staying out, because now staying out has got dearer. Before it was a no-brainer. It's like, well, your room for the night is 30, 40 quid, or you're staying in a truck stop is 30 quid with a meal voucher. I'd rather have the room. I can get myself a sandwich. Now it's like staying in a truck stop is 30 quid. Room for the night is 70 quid. That's how much it was in the days in when I was in the truck stop. Plus you've got to get your food. And then you think, well, that's going to be 70, 80 quid on my job price. Better go home. I get the bed for free. I get to see everybody. So it doesn't actually make it... sort of profitable. It doesn't make it economic, if you like, to stay out. I'm better off doing two jobs and not coming home. So, Tifioso Cornwall. He says, Pete, you've been on the exchange for a few years now. How many customers have you had who've never paid? Very, very few. I'd say 1 in 100. And we're very hot on it. If they look like they're being when you get a brand new customer, you don't tend to. We're doing more and more stuff for people that we know. And if you get a brand new customer and they look like they're clocking a bill up, we tend to put the brakes on and wait until the money comes in. But no, I'd say 1 in 100, and it's not big bills. The not paying on the CX is not really much of an issue if you're clever about it. Don't take people with terrible feedback. Don't take people where it's got a list of doesn't pay. And if you struggle to get the money out of them, just stop doing jobs for them. You'll get the money eventually, and then just stop. You know, it's fine. He also says best way to get out of Cornwall or South Wales, out of bad areas. The best way to get out of bad areas is to get your own customers, and to try and get a regular job. That is real legwork, knocking on doors, that kind of thing. Is to try and get someone in the area who's got regular work near you, going places, and then use CX to get back. But to try and get out of difficult areas on the CX is not very easy. It's a backload platform, and it tends to focus very much on the more work there is in the area, the more chance you have of getting a job. So yeah, the best way to do that would be end users. And finally, on the miscellaneous, from Kenneth McKenzie, he said, just a point of view. He said, I wish the screen. I wish you would make it the map screen full, so on the map function, so I can see where jobs finish, and you can see immediately what would take you nearer home. There is. If you go to, when you look at the job and click on View on Map, it will show you how far away you are from the pickup, and it will show you how long the job will take and where it ends. And by looking at where it ends, you can have a rough idea of how far it is away from your house. I am the world's worst courier driver. Like I said, I took a job to Swindon the other day. For some bizarre reason, in my head, I thought Swindon was, past Birmingham. Absolutely rubbish. I've been to Swindon so many times, it's ridiculous. I just don't know what I was thinking of. But without View on Map, I would be largely lost when I get to areas. I'm going to go, right, where's that going? Where's that going? Oh, that's a long way. You see, it might say 200 miles, but I don't know. Is it 200 miles that way, that way, that way, that way? I don't know. And then you go View on Map, you go, or like... But yeah, there is. Hope that helps. Right, in conclusion, got a few here. Godzilla said, because we talk about, all the sort of the PPE and stuff. He said, I was at Hinkley Point, the new nuclear power station. I guess they're going to be hot on PPE. Why, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure that the uranium-13 will go through a high visibility vest just as easy to go through anything bar a lead suit. He says, for not wearing my hard hat while driving the van. I said, if something heavy enough caves the roof of my van through to hit me on the head, a helmet's not going to be a lot of use, is it really? I also got told off for not wearing my high vis while driving on site. Once again, I said, mate, if you miss a 9 foot by 6 foot van with flashing lights, wearing high vis isn't going to make a lot of difference. But apparently it does. It's normally to do with in fairness, it's company policy, and it's normally to do with their insurance on site. I have been to a place once where it's a warehouse, and the fork truck drivers had to wear hard hats despite the fact it's indoors. So it wasn't, they had there was nothing. It was just a ceiling, but they had to wear hard hats. And the fork trucks had roofs. And I just went to the guy. He went, it's insurance. I've also been to a place once where I had to wear long sleeve, high visibility top. I've said this before, and I've turned up in me orange, but it was warm as well, big day, but I thought I've got to wear it, so I've got the big coat on with big beans. I've got a new IVs coming, I've got some new PPE coming, I'll do your video. And I've gone to the guy, he says you need long sleeve, PPE, long sleeve IVs. I've looked at it, I've gone, it is long sleeve. It is long sleeve. It's quite difficult to miss. It's bright orange. He said, yeah, but it's not green. As it was, he gave me a green one. He was a nice guy. He said, just take this one, it's fine. That was Royal Mail, actually. And he said, it's to do with the insurance. Our insurance say we have to wear green long sleeve high vis. Otherwise, if something falls on your foot, they won't pay. Steve Campbell, the nefarious Steve Campbell, as he's quickly becoming. He said, because I did a video on slang, and he says, I might do a video on prison slang. You might want to tune off some of you people with them. Some stage, if there are younger children listening to this. He says, He said, after all these years, I recently found out what a prison pocket is. I found out from my 18-year-old daughter. Yeah, he said there's a reason why smuggled drugs, tobacco, crisps, and mobile phone taste and smell of. I'll let your imagination run with that one. Thanks, Steve. He also says, oh dear. He said, the reason I have 4 wives is down to some advice I got in jail once. A wife can never give evidence against a husband in court unless she's a victim. So while you're awaiting trial, find the prosecution witness, marry her, and then divorce her after the trial. She can't give evidence later, and she's a bitter ex-wife. Yeah, which is brilliant if you actually want a chain of ex-wives. Marry the witness for the prosecution. I'm sure that was an old Love Is cartoon in the 70s, isn't it? Love is marrying someone so they can't testify against you. I'm pretty sure that was definitely up there with, bringing the flowers. Steve, he says he finally found out that the Boris, because he went to London, didn't he? He said, I found out the Boris bikes actually fit nicely in the bunk of a Mercedes Argos unit. You're supposed to be stopping doing this, mate. He says, my mate Dodgy Dave is looking in to see if he can get them unlocked without paying. He's good with electrics. He once removed the mobiliser from an old Vauxhall Carlton SRI I found a few streets away many years ago. Couldn't give me a receipt, though. You don't say, stop it. You're driving a van now. You don't need the grief. Just, be straight. It's fine. AAA Transport Solutions, because I did one on why subcontracting on the exchange doesn't work. Says, told you. I know. Some people just have to learn it the hard way. And finally, John Harper, the final word this week goes to John Harper, which he says the car on the Edinburgh thing was a Rover P5B 4-door coupe. It was beautiful. It was mint. It was lovely. The guy said he'd only spent about £2,000 on it. He said, but the amount of money the people before me must have spent on it, I dread to think. He said the Sweeney drove around in a Ford Consul GT and a Granada gear. Before my time, Sweeney, just a little bit. Professionals as me. Bodie and Doyle and CI5 and crashing into boxes. And the A-team, of course. Right, that's it. Let's hope it goes up in time. I am now going to go and collect some cabinets for Kid. Have a wonderful Sunday. Take care. Take money.